Hey! It's you!
Oh hey, it's you! It's been a couple weeks. How you been doing, dude?
Me? I died, buddy. When you stole my game, I couldn't pay for food, and my family starved!
Well, that's unfortunate. Anyways, you gonna, leave or something? I wanna play Sonic.
No way, pal! Now that I know I'm in your game, I'm not leaving until you're suffering!
So, you're stuck in the game, right? You can't leave or anything, right?
Well, yeah, I guess, but I don't really see what that has to do with anything. Hey, man! Stop joking around! Come on, man! I'm scared!
Well, here we are again. In the last video, I got a ton of comments about all the creepypastas I missed, and it was just yeah, why did I forget about those? Making that video was bringing back some repressed memories, and I'm not sure that's a good thing, but hey, who cares? It can't be all that bad, right? Right? So today, I have another chunk of creepypastas to talk about that should hopefully make that list of undiscussed stories just a little bit smaller. And hey, I made a second video, so who's to say I won't make a third one? Give me some stuff you'd like to see me talk about in the comments below, and maybe I'll put them in a third part, who knows? Anyways, let's get things started. The first thing on my list of things to talk about is Mario. Creative name, I know. Miyamoto, I hope you're taking notes. This is how you title a game. So as the story goes, a guy named Adam was browsing a site named Super Mario World Central and was searching through a list of Mario ROM hacks before he came across a hack entitled, well, Mario. Thinking it might be entertaining or something, he decides to start messing around with the ROM and, stuff just kinda happens, I guess? He finds visual abnormalities, some blocks that have already been hit, some ominous text boxes, and it's, not very scary? And yet he's just constantly talking about how much dread he was filled with. Like, he's genuinely scared of a brown Mario block. Yeah, I don't know if it was getting across too well, but I was never really scared of this one. Same situation with Sonic.exe, I just never found the idea all that creepy. It's not like something could happen to the player or something, it's just stuff in the game. And as for the stuff in the game itself, which is a thing you can really play by the way, which is really neat, but yeah, I've seen scarier stuff in Luigi's Mansion. And as you all know by this point, I understand the absolute pinnacle of horror. What was I scared of again? Oh yeah, disregard everything I said then. There's that thing at the end with the murder victim or whatever, but honestly, it just feels forced and I don't really care. Moving from something I wasn't scared of to something I wasn't scared of. Oh, people are gonna be mad about this one. The Slenderman. I just did not understand the deal with this one. He's this tall, spooky guy who's apparently been around for centuries, kidnapping children or something. Yeah, most of my interaction with this came from Slender the 8 Pages, an indie horror game where you kinda just roamed around looking for pieces of paper in a forest. Yeah, his general mannerisms, or really lack thereof, were kind of eerie, but how could I be scared of him? I don't just go roaming around random forests in the middle of the night. That's too dangerous. Instead, I roam around alleyways, a much safer alternative to be sure. Honestly, I feel like he was the creepiest in the initial concept photos. Like, the idea of him having been there in broad daylight, going unnoticed, that's kind of creepy. But him just kind of hanging around some forest waiting for some kid, And actually, why is this kid even here to begin with? Why did his parents let him do this? The real horror here is his parents' indifference, honestly. Also, I could never be scared of him after seeing stuff like this, so thank you, internet. Well, we did 2 Pokemon creepypastas last time, so why not do 2 more, cause I'm super creative. This time I got these ones from the comments, as despite having read these before, I just really didn't remember them that well. First up is Pokemon Lost Silver, probably one of the most well-known Pokemon creepypastas ever made. In it, a guy is anxiously awaiting the release of Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Trust me, I get it, those games were the bomb. Anyone remember this thing? I used it obsessively when I was a kid. Anyways, while waiting, he decides to go buy a used copy of Pokemon Silver to relive the memories, only to find out that, big shock, it's haunted. As you can imagine, the stuff that happens in the game isn't all that frightening, though I will give it credit. The guy actually doesn't just constantly feel the need to reiterate how scary seeing a brown block is. Though really, the scariest thing about it is probably its ending. It's this chilling message about the inevitability of death. Eventually you will die and your accomplishments will become meaningless. Thanks, I definitely needed to get an existential crisis from a creepypasta about a haunted Pokemon game, but yeah, I enjoyed it, if only because of the well-crafted ending. Now that we've talked about a creepypasta that a lot of people remember, let's talk about a creepypasta that no one remembers except for me, Pokemon Dead Channel. Though I said the same thing about the Nurse Joy one in the last video, and there were at least a couple people who did remember it, so I guess we'll see. This story has a surprisingly great start. A kid can't seem to find any friends, so he turns to a game to fill in the void. He spends a lot of time with Pikachu in the game Pokemon channel, almost forming a friendship with him. Then, he manages to get a real-life friend and forgets about the game. This doesn't last forever, however, as he's eventually forced by his mom to leave his only true friend behind, leaving him alone again. It's honestly just kind of sad. Had the story kept up this quality, it would have been really great. Instead, he decides to play Pokemon Channel again only to find out that Pikachu is like real or something and went insane in the game world? Huh, that sounds really familiar. He went around killing all the Pokemon in the game and just leaves their bodies laying around because, hey, why not? Pikachu just continues doing more evil stuff, the worst of which being forcing the main character to play tic-tac-toe with him. Pikachu, why? I don't even like tic-tac-toe. Oh yeah, and the pieces are like organs or something, but like honestly, who cares? This one was hilarious, and I highly recommend checking it out if you're looking for a good laugh. But honestly, it just makes me sad that this had such a good setup and it just decided to ruin it with all the dumb gore stuff. You know, these things are all based off of old games, like really old. So how about we talk about something newer, like Minecraft, which is over 10 years old. Oh no, how the heck has it been that long? Well, if you ever played Minecraft around that time, you might remember a little thing by the name of Herobrine. Supposedly, it was this strange paranormal creature that looked an awful lot like the player character, only with white eyes. Supposedly, he would roam around your world, often changing small subtle things to get you on edge. If you caught a glimpse of him, he'd quickly disappear into the distance, never letting you get a clear look at him. I never really cared for the idea of it being Notch's dead brother or whatever, but honestly, I thought this whole thing was really cool. Not scary, but kinda eerie. At the time, capture software wasn't really easily accessible, and Minecraft was still a small little indie game. No one could really prove whether it was real or fake. I always liked the idea of it being an enemy with a ridiculously low spawn rate, one that would just kinda mess with the player. In a game that was already pretty surreal and eerie at the time, a mystery like this just made everything seem even more eerie. I kinda miss it, honestly. Minecraft's still fun nowadays, but I feel like I'll never recapture that feeling it gave me when I first played it. The pure mystery the world seemed to give off. And Herobrine was a good part of that experience, even if he never was really there to begin with. Alright, talking about that last one made me a little sad. Maybe we should talk about something really terrible to wash away the sad aftertaste. How about the real Chuck E. Cheese? Yeah, this one's absolute garbage. This kid wants to go to Chuck E. Cheese more than anything in the world. He finally gets to go there, and while playing one of the games, he hears a researcher talking about some experiment they're doing. Because clearly, a public Chuck E. Cheese is the best place to do secret experiments. And behind an easily openable door, no less. Only the best security here. The kid falls into the room, and they accuse him of knowing what they're doing, and of course, he's just confused because he's like 6. He then used his Kung Fu Ninja moves to escape the scientists, because clearly a 6-year-old would be able to do this, and then he escapes into a vent. Just as he does, the real Chuck E. Cheese, which is just some mutated rat, attacks all the scientists while the kid just kind of leaves. Wow, I don't even know how to describe this one. It's just so dumb. I mean, like, more than anything I've talked about up to this point. But honestly, it's really entertaining. Check it out if you're looking for something hilarious, because geez, I can't imagine a single person getting through this without laughing at least once. So after talking about Ben Drowned last time, I got a metric ton of people asking what I thought about Godzilla NES, which was funny because somehow I had never actually heard of it before. So I took a look at it, and you know what? I feel like I missed out on this originally. Now sure, this is another case of a haunted game cartridge, but honestly, the amount of effort put into this story is impressive. Not only was it incredibly well written, but the story even had full screenshots throughout the story, which gives it much more believability. And you know what? It's genuinely pretty unnerving at times, when the main character isn't recapping literally every single fight in the game. This creepypasta is 2.5 hours. Jeez, I could beat a Metroid game in that time. I don't need literally every game mechanic described in detail to me. Like, you could easily cut the story in half and this would be just as effective, if not more so. Regardless, it was genuinely fantastic, and I'd highly recommend checking it out if you have the time. Alright, you know what time it is. Or maybe you don't if you didn't watch the last video. Whatever. Time for some quickies. Stories I wanted to mention but don't have a lot to say about. Russian sleep experiments. Seriously unnerving, and not in the traditional way, but more like in an existential way. Highly recommend looking into it if you haven't already. Willow Lake. Cool, if a bit boring. It's really just not my style of story, honestly. Long Nap Mouse. Neat enough, if a bit too cliche and edgy for my taste. Since the story I wanted to talk about is, risky to mention for a number of reasons, I'll just talk about something completely unrelated. The year 1998 was pretty cool, and the unofficial DLC add-ons honestly improved the year. Remember, I'm definitely just talking about the year 1998 and nothing else. No End House. Actually, really cool and unique. Never really heard much like it. Now it's time to talk about the scariest, most disturbing, most frightening concept imaginable. An apple. So, you ever just look at an apple and think, dude, this thing is terrifying? Well, someone did clearly, because here we have Happy Appy. Apparently, it was a children's show that aired on Nick Jr., and the writer is trying to find episodes of it. They find some episodes, like, immediately somehow, and after, like, 3 episodes, the apple was already murdering kids with graphic details in this kids show that apparently aired on a kids channel. How? They try to make this apple out to be this terrifying thing or something, but, like, it's just not at all. I mean, just look at this thing. It's an apple with a stick and some arms. All the while, the creator is being chased by a stalker who, whenever she sees them, it's just like, oh no, guys, forensic, my stalker broke into my house again and used my computer for some reason. And then Happy Appy is, like, real, it has the ability to predict upcoming disasters, and it attacks the protagonists, and I just can't do any more of this, man. The story is, like, 2 hours, and it's like this the whole way through. Straight up, this is one of the greatest examples of a creepypasta that's so bad that it can't not be entertaining. But seriously, was anyone actually scared of this thing as a kid? I mean, how could anyone be scared of it? Oh, never mind, I completely understand. You know, while this video certainly had a lot of me making fun of these things, and I mean, how could you not? They're terrible. But there's just this inherent fun factor to these things that you really don't get anymore. Like, back then, the quality was part of the fun. Everybody's expectations were so different for these kinds of stories. Nobody went in expecting 5-star writing, we all just wanted something entertaining. Regardless of whether the stories were good or garbage, everybody was just having fun. Nowadays, though, everyone's standards are so much higher. We can't have any of these cringe fests anymore, no. Instead, every creepypasta needs to be perfect. And you know what? That's not to say these are inherently bad. Quite the contrary, there's a lot of really interesting stories being written now, too. For example, one of my more modern favorites is, I'm a search and rescue officer for the US Forest Service. A story that was equal parts creepy and captivating, and will single-handedly make you terrified of the idea of seeing stairs in the middle of a forest. Stories like these are great, but I'll always miss that cringy charm that a lot of these older ones had. But what I won't miss are things like this. Seriously guys, come on, this isn't funny anymore.